Chair.
The Honourable Nanaia Mahuta.
Having listened to those two contributions, Mr Chair, I just wanted to put on the record that were it not for the collegial nature around which treaty settlements have been reached, we wouldn't see the success that we have seen. And it must be noted that treaty settlements are the types of issues where, unless both sides of the House agree and commit to ensure that they are progressed well, then there is no long-term commitment. But can I say that there is some outstanding matters that the Minister of Treaty Negotiations, I'm sure, would be a little bit anxious to sort out, such as what's happening with the mediation of the Kohanga Reo Trust claim. That is a very serious question that's before the minds of a number of iwi in terms of the Waitangi Tribunal claim and how the government is going to put some emphasis on reaching resolution around the undertakings that were given by the Waitangi Tribunal. Also, the proof of the pudding for treaty settlements is in its implementation. So there are a number of relationship accords, there are a number of agreements that require ongoing commitment, not only of the Office of the Treaty Settlements, but also Ministry for the Environment, Ministry for Social Development, and TOE well knows that there is more progress to be achieved to ensure the proper implementation of many of these treaty settlements. So while members on the other side of the House have stood heroically and promoted what the government has done in treaty settlements, the fact of the matter is and remains that the commitment to ensure that treaty settlements are being achieved well requires both sides of the House to agree. I have been to a number of occasions where the Minister has stood and secured the confidence of a number of iwi in the way that he has approached the treaty settlement process, and he is to be applauded. Like the Minister before him for Labour, Michael Cullen, we too recognise that he did a lot of things. Now, while those members on the other side of the House said that Labour took a long time to achieve treaty settlements, we still achieved many. In fact, we achieved some groundbreaking treaty settlements. I looked to my own electorate and in the Waikato River settlement under a Labour government. It was a landmark settlement that sought to do something very different. Also, what was done in the period of a Labour government was move iwi towards large natural groupings. And National well knows how difficult it is to try and get iwi together and to try and come under one umbrella to ensure that a comprehensive claim can be achieved. Now, that was very difficult, so I do not accept at all any criticism from members of the government saying that Labour did not make some progress in this area. I am sure the Minister for Treaty Settlements will recognise it is not easy to try and get more than one hapu together sitting at the same table to try and reach their agreement. In fact, I'm sure he recognises that were it not for some of the work that Labour had achieved in its time around getting comprehensive claims, trying to get iwi sitting within the same tent, his job wouldn't be as easy as it has been. Mr Speaker, I again want to put on the record that insofar as treaty settlements are concerned, some good progress has been made, but the proof of the pudding is in its implementation. The proof of the pudding is in its implementation. And what we do know is that there are a number of iwi who continue to want to ensure sustained commitment from the respective government organisations like the Ministry for the Environment, like MOBI, like the Ministry for Social Development, Ministry for Education, to make some of these relationship accords practical and effective and sitting alongside the intent of the agreements that have been set out in their deed of settlement and in their legislation. And Mr Speaker, Mr Chair, the last thing I want to really put on the record in this part of the estimates debate is the good work that OTS has been able to contribute to this process and the ongoing need to ensure that the capacity is retained and the institutional knowledge is retained to be able to ensure proper implementation and agreements that have been reached under the treaty settlements can be implemented. Kia ora.
Mr Chairman.
The Honourable Christopher Finlinson.
I think I will take a brief call, if only because Annette King called out that I was a has-been, which is rich coming from someone who's been around here since Peter Fraser was Prime Minister. But